から私のこれは絶対恋なんかとちゃう。絶対。
よかった。本当に見つかった。
Here we have Medaka episode 11, my friends. And here, I can't lie to y'all. Like, I think I'm ready for this show to end. Like, I was not entertained. So the things that I look for in an episode, you know, especially because we're waiting week by week, right? It's like every single week we're waiting for the next episode to drop. As opposed to, let's say you stumble upon this show 6 months, a year down the line, you can just kind of watch it all in one go. So a lot of times when you have folks that discover shows later on in life, it doesn't quite have the same impact as it does for me and you who are waiting week by week. And that could definitely skew our rating. That could definitely skew the way we look at an anime. And that could definitely skew when you come to anime who maybe will end up having something that wasn't like a really good ending, or like it didn't really value your time a lot, because you can just kind of binge a show in, you know, a couple of hours or something on like a Saturday or a Sunday. Like you know, you're in bed, you're like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I'm like, you know what? Let me just pick some random ass anime, and you just sit there in bed from like, you know, 8 to 11, and then you get up out of bed or whatever. And then you're like, yeah. And you kind of remember the anime, but you're like, oh yeah, I think that was pretty good. You know, I think it was pretty good, you know? As opposed to us, when we're waiting for week by week, when we have kind of like nothing burger episodes, and you're just like, oh man, like this kind of sucks. Where I'm getting at is we spent all of episode 11 when it comes to Mona just discovering the fact that she's in love with Medaka. Yeah, I think everybody under the sun knew that. And she's coming to the realization that she lets her emotions run wild and loose when it comes to him, and she can't really control them how she can, as opposed to when she's in front of others. And her friend this episode calls her out for that too, and she's like, hey, you're always trying to be Miss Perfect, but for the first time, you're not Miss Perfect, and you're letting your real self be known to this Medaka guy, which is a breath of fresh air. And she's like, the F I am. And she finally realizes it when they're on their Ferris wheel or whatever. She sees her facial expression through her reflection that she's really blushing, and she's like, and Medaka's like, you're weird sometimes, you make some crazy faces. He's like, but I like you for that kind of thing. Well, he doesn't say I like you for that. That would be nice if he said that. But he's like, you know, you're cute for that or whatever. And then it finally clicks with Mona. She's like, oh, I'm in love with him. Like no shit, you know. But the rest of the episode was just mostly a nothing burger episode. And the beginning left a really bad taste in my mouth, because at the end of the last episode, they come across like a churro stand or something. And the guy's like, oh, you want 2 for 1? Prove that you're a couple. Couples eat 2 for 1. He's like, kiss her. Don't be a bitch. Kiss her. And we got left off on that cliffhanger last week. And even last week, I was like, I bet this ends up being nothing. I bet they pussy out. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Like, Mona ended up just, you know, pussying out at the end of it. She's like, oh, I can't do it. I run away. We're not a couple. I'll pay extra, you know, whatever. And just that beginning left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, okay, through circumstances, they're gonna finally kiss, even if it's like a little peck or something. Like, we're gonna get something. But sure enough, we didn't get that at all. And then we just spend the rest of the episode of her discovering, you know, Asahi's pulling Medaka, you know, this way and that way through Sunday. And eventually Mona gets her chance because they get lost, or she gets lost and breaks her phone, and he goes and finds her because of course he does, and he breaks his phone because of course he does, and they end up on a Ferris wheel because he wants to. And then that comes back to where I just mentioned. The rest of the episode, like, you know, for me, like the things I look for is like, am I engaged? Am I entertained? Is it funny? Is it what emotion am I feeling? You know, is it anger towards the character? Is it sadness? You know, and at the end of this episode, I felt nothing. You know, like I just kind of watched it, and the only thing I felt was thankful that it was done. I was like, oh, thank God it's done. Okay, I can shoot my review and be the F done with this show. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like I kind of just want this one to end. Much like a lot of other anime this season, unfortunately. This has been a season for a lot of shows that have some serious, how do you say it? They have some serious potential. And this was one of the shows I thought has some really serious potential because it had some legitimate, really funny moments. And that's why I said what I said at the beginning of the video, where like, I think if someone discovers this 6 months or 12 months down the line and they watch all 12 episodes in one go, those funnies, you know, like the comedic moments that really hit, they can stick with you because you're getting to the end by in the same day as you're binging the show. You know, really funny moments, you know, like let's say you laugh 12 times in hour, you know, between 0 and 90 minutes. Let's say you laugh 12 times and you don't laugh for the next hour. It's not that big a deal because it was all in one shot. You know what I mean? But as opposed to week by week, if I laugh to this week, but then next week it just sucks, it's boring, that weighs on me because now when I go into the following, man, last episode really sucked, you know, as opposed to when you binge it. So anyways, I'm ready for this episode or for this show to end. Next week is called First Love with him. So maybe we'll get some handhold, maybe we'll get a kiss or something. But at this point, it's like, even if we do get a kiss, which is like best case scenario, is that good enough? I don't think so. Anyways, I know I'm being harsh on this anime, but it's just one of these words like some of these animes that have legitimate potential and then they fumble the bag. It's just so disappointing. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week to see what we end up getting. I'm not going to hold my breath for any of it, but we'll see. All right, my friends, stay up, stay clean, stay fancy, stay classy. See you next week. Peace.